Hey, you guys, we are live. You guys, welcome to the show. I am Donovan Sadiq. I am the recovering Democrat and got a bit of bad news today. Welcome to the Unapologetic Podcast. I got a bit of bad news today. Representative Alcee Hastings has died at the age of 84. Real quick synopsis on Mr. Hastings. He came in a wave of Black representatives, civil rights era representatives, in 1993, in the early 90s. Maxine Waters was part of that class, Sheila Jackson Lee. You named the so-called representatives that are so-called representing Black people right now that are out there. He was in that group of class that came in. 30-something years in office and basically nothing to show for it, especially in regards to Black people. That's why this podcast, this series is called Black Politicians Ain't Shit. And I know a lot of people out there are going to be upset that I'm saying that, but the proof is in the pudding. I wouldn't be saying it if there was no validity to it. Now, some of you guys out there are playing this game of, well, you know, that's your opinion, whatever. You're damn right it's my opinion. You know, you might not think sitting in office for 30 years and having no legislative accomplishments other than naming post offices and giving medals to your civil rights buddies is an accomplishment. But I don't think so. So just give me a second here. I want to put this up on Facebook as we're doing this. I just got finished with the war zone. And I wanted to get this up here because I forgot to mention that he had died. He has died at the age of 83. And again, rest in peace, condolences to the family and all that other stuff. But what people do not seem to realize is this man and a lot of politicians, not just Black, are corrupted. The man was a piece of shit, okay? I can only say that based on his public record. I don't know what he does in his private life other than dating his interns and then marrying her and all this other stuff. And that's his business. You want to do that. Take advantage of interns if you want to do that. Go ahead, brother. You died at 84. But this proves my point in regards to these politicians that came in the class of 19 in the early 90s. We are literally going to have to carry them out in a casket before they give up power. So if you guys don't believe me, I'm going to share this with you real quick. So because I don't want you to think that I'm just talking out the side of my neck, but let me give you the Democratic narrative that they want to project so that they show you how great this guy is, and then I'm going to show you the real record. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So give me a second here, and here we go. This is the NBC News. Representative Alcee Hastings, barrier-breaking Florida Democrat, dies at 84. And again, my sincerest condolences to his family and everybody there. But again, he's a public figure. He's a public representative. So I am talking about him as a public representative. Okay, so please stay out your goddamn feelings. Representative Alcee Hastings, Florida, a former federal judge, and he was appointed by Jimmy Carter, by the way, and civil rights activist in his 15th term in Congress, has died at 84. I want you guys to remember the civil rights activist part, okay? He lived a life of triumph over adversity, and his brilliance and compassion was felt among his constituents, colleagues, the nation, and the world. His family said in a statement, he lived a full life with an indelible fighting spirit dedicated to equal justice. He believed that progress and change can only be achieved through recognizing and respecting the humanity of all of mankind. Wow, that's a very powerful statement. Notice that they kind of omitted the fact that he was impeached as a federal judge for corruption. Hastings said in early 2019 that he had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and was undergoing treatment at Georgetown University's Lombardi Comprehensive Cancer Center in Washington. His death means another vacancy in the House, which narrows the Democratic majority and makes it increasingly harder for the party to pass legislation without near total agreement. The Democrats are not going to hold that House. You better believe that. Hastings represented Florida's 20th congressional district, which covers parts of Broward and Palm Beach counties. Hastings had been serving as vice chairman of the powerful House Rules Committee and was the most senior member of his state's congressional delegation. Well, I'm the most senior. What good is all that if you're not doing anything for your people? He was recently appointed a senior whip by House Negro James Clyburn. Yes, Ms. Nancy. Yes, Ms. Nancy. Turn here, James. Yes, Ms. Nancy. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Hastings served in the House since 1993, making a comeback after it impeached him in 1988. And the Senate removed him as a federal judge a year later after finding him guilty of perjury and conspiracy to solicit a bribe. If he did that as a judge, what the hell do you think he's been doing for 30 years as a public representative and somebody who has influence on major legislation that he is voting on? Hastings became Florida's first Black federal judge in 1979. Wow, the first Black federal judge, and he got removed. What a way to go! Black leadership ain't shit. Having been appointed by President Jimmy Carter to the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida, Hastings' death was first reported Tuesday by the Sun-Sentinel newspaper. A trailblazing lawyer who grew up in the Jim Crow South, Alcee was outspoken because he was passionate about helping our nation live up to its full promise for all Americans. If that is so true, why are they shooting Black people down in the street? Are we not going through the Derek Chauvin case, the guy that murdered George Floyd? We have murders of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland. Shall I go on and on and on? Tamir Rice. What are they talking about? Across his long career of public service, Alcee always stood up to fight for equality and always showed up for the working people he represented. And even in his final battle with cancer, he simply never gave up. Do you know right now, if I didn't do this story on Alcee Hastings, nobody would know who he is other than his constituent and those people who do follow politics like myself. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said in a statement that the congressional community is devastated by Hastings' death. That's bullshit. All who knew Alcee knew him as a champion for the most vulnerable in our nation. I want you guys to remember that. The most vulnerable in our nation. One of the most vulnerable in our nation are Black people who are being shot down in the street. We're going to look at his record in regards to Black people. She said, as an attorney, civil rights activist, and judge, and over his nearly 30 years in Congress, he fought tirelessly to create opportunities to lift up working families, communities of color, children, and immigrants. Congressman Hastings leaves behind a powerful legacy of activism and action on behalf of Floridians and all Americans. His leadership and friendship will be missed by his many friends in Congress. That was total bullshit. Total bullshit. Vice President Kamala Asian Harris said Hastings welcomed her to the Congressional Black Caucus in her early days in the Senate days. He excluded the kind of warmth and good humor that not only put me at ease, but encouraged me to speak my mind. Are you sure he didn't try to hit on you? She said in a statement, born in the Jim Crow South, Congressman Hastings understood our obligation to speak truth better than most. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So that is the Democratic thing. Notice they left out a lot of stuff. They glossed over a lot of stuff. So now I'm going to show you guys what he really was. They mentioned he was a civil rights activist. There was no mention of anything he did for civil rights. He was a corrupted person. He's still a corrupted person. He died a corrupted person. 30 years in Congress, he has nothing to show for it, especially when it comes to people who look like him, who have skin like him. So let's take a look at that. And then you guys tell me. You can be mad at me all you want, but his record is his record. And that's all I'm going off of is this man's record. So let's take a look at that real quick, okay? This is the site called On the Issues. So you want to know something about a politician, go to this site. It's called, just put in On the Issues, and then you put in your representative, and they tell you where they stand on the issues, okay? Alcee Hastings on abortion. Let's take a look. He votes no on banning federal health coverage that includes abortion. Okay? He votes no. Voted yes on expanding research to more embryonic stem cells. He voted yes on allowing embryonic cells. Voted yes on restricting interstate transport of minors to get abortions. Voted no on making it a crime to harm a fetus during another crime. Voted no on banning partial birth abortion, except to save the mother's life. Voted no on forbidding human cloning. Voted no on funding for health providers who don't provide abortion info. Voted no on banning family planning funding in U.S. aid abroad. Voted no on banning partial birth abortions. Voted no on barring transportation minors to get an abortion. He's rated 100% by NARAL, indicating a pro-choice voting record. A lot of your Black politicians are rated 100% by usually Planned Parenthood and NARAL. Okay, so that's a pro-choice type thing, and it makes you wonder. Black people population hasn't grown in over 60 years. I wonder what's that about. Okay, so let's see. Al Hastings on principles and values. Let's see Al Hastings on civil rights issues. Let's just take a look at that, since he's a champion of civil rights. He voted yes on reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act. That's an everybody bill. Okay, I have no problem with that. He voted yes on prohibiting job discrimination based on sexual orientation. Okay, LGBTQ thing. Okay, fine. He voted for that. Voted no on constitutionally defining marriage as one man, one woman. LGBTQ. Loves it. Voted no on making the Patriot Act permanent. Well, that's good. Voted no on protecting the Pledge of Allegiance. Wow, okay. Voted no on constitutional amendment prohibiting flag desecration. Voted no on banning gay adoptions in D.C. And like I said, LGBTQ, they have a lot of money. Money speaks. He ending racial profiling is part of Fight for Justice. He wrote the principle. He didn't vote on that. So Hastings co-sponsored a constitutional amendment for equal rights by gender, LGBTQ. He's rated 86% by the ACLU, indicating a pro-civil rights voting record. I don't see how they could come up with that, but okay. ACLU, there's some problems with the ACLU when it comes to Black people. They represent everybody, and they go all out for everybody but Black people. Look at this. He issued a commemorative postage stamp for Rosa Parks. He voted for that. Look at that. Rated 100% by the HRC, indicating a pro-gay rights stance. Where's his pro-Black stance? He's rated 92% by the NAACP, indicating a pro-affirmative action stance. When you say pro-affirmative action, that means pro-white women and everybody else but Black people. He recognizes Juneteenth as a historical end of slavery. That's not a vote. Prohibited employment discrimination for gays. Constitutional amendment for women's equal rights. Prohibited sexual identity discrimination at schools. Investigate mortgage discrimination in veterans and disabled. Ratified CIDWA, discrimination against women. Endorsed as preferred by the feminist majority, indicating pro-women's rights. Enforce against anti-gay discrimination in public schools. Enforce against wage discrimination based on gender. Protect LGBT families from illegal immigration deportation. He recognizes the 1961 Freedom Riders against segregated buses. He co-sponsored a gold medal for them. Don't elevate gender identity as a protected class. Let states recognize same-sex marriage. Reintroduce the Equal Rights Amendment. Reinforce anti-discrimination and equal pay requirements. Give domestic partnership benefits to federal employees. Recognize the 40th anniversary of Stonewall. Honor the 100th anniversary of the NAACP. Okay. In any of that, was anything in there for Black people? There's an everybody thing. Is there anything that I just did there that showed that this man did anything specifically for his people? No. And they all do it. They don't do anything for Black people. Okay, we could go into all this other stuff, families and children. But this is an everybody thing. I'm looking for what he's done specifically for his people, because let's face it, white people, Asians, Hispanics do not vote for black people wholeheartedly to represent them. They vote for their own people. So you mean to tell me people in Florida have voted for this man and he has done absolutely not one thing for them? That's the problem with black leadership. Again, I say, black leadership ain't shit, okay? They just aren't. Immigration. Let's see what he says about immigration. Voted no on building a fence along the Mexican border. That fence helps keep black people to have jobs. Voted no on preventing tipping off Mexicans about Minuteman Project. Voted no on reporting illegal aliens who receive hospital treatment. Voted yes on extending immigrant residency rules. Voted yes on more immigrant visas for skilled workers. Wow. He's voted zero by FAIR, the Federation for American Immigration Reform, a loosening immigration, and he's voted zero by USBC. They are a border control funded. Yeah, he's for illegal immigration. This guy's for illegal immigration. Voted to legalize dreamer immigrant via military service, increase both high skill and family-based visa caps. Wow, you know, he's for helping replace black people as the base of the Democratic Party. But most Hispanics that come here are business-minded. They become business owners, and half of them vote Republican. Don't get mad at me, you guys. This is this man's public record. Where is his civil rights issues? Where is that? He's doing for everybody but the very people that vote him into office. And that's all I'm pointing out. You could be mad all you want, but those are the facts. Alcee Hastings of Florida, just like most black politicians, ain't shit. And I stand by that. I just proved it. My name's Donovan Sadiq. I'm the Recovering Democrat. Please follow me on the War Zone Monday through Friday, as well as Free Flow Friday with Demetra K and the Demetra K Show, and as well as my own podcast, Unapologetic. And I have the series, Black Politicians Ain't Shit. Please continue to subscribe, like, and share. I really appreciate it. Once again, you could be mad at me all you want, but there's his record. That is the record. And that's what you people are voting for. You're voting for your own oppression. And those are just the facts, if you like it or not. I'm Donovan Sadiq, the Recovering Democrat. Buckle up, brace for impact.